Hello everyone, my name is Rob. I'm a tutor here at the Embry-Riddle Digital Studio, and today we're going to be going over the Assertion-Evidence model. The Assertion-Evidence model allows the audience to better comprehend the information on the slide. There have been numerous studies proving that the Assertion-Evidence model is far more beneficial for the audience because it allows them to retain the information a lot better, and long term they remember a lot more. So if you look here on this slide, on our left we have an example of your traditional PowerPoint slide, and on the right we have the Assertion-Evidence model. Now you can see the big difference is the Assertion-Evidence slide is a lot simpler. You have your claim or your assertion at the top of the slide, and then a picture or your evidence at the bottom. Your traditional slide is a lot of text, a lot of information, and as an audience member, it can be really hard to read all that, digest it, and then remember it, whereas the Assertion-Evidence model is going to be very simple, very easy for the audience to look at the picture, look at your claim, understand the information, and then remember it. The Assertion-Evidence model allows you to declutter a slide. So, like we saw in that example earlier, we don't really want a lot of text on the slide. The example you see here is just a big wall of text on the slide, and as a viewer it can be really intimidating and really hard to kind of take out the important information from that slide. And that's what the Assertion-Evidence model does, is it allows you to get rid of that text and just give the audience the big picture idea of that slide. And lastly, from a presentation point of view, the Assertion-Evidence model lets the presenter use the slide as an aid, not as a script. This is something I'm sure we've all seen, is that when someone's presenting, they're just reading the words directly off the slide, which doesn't help the audience at all because they're just reading what they're hearing. It's the same information given to them twice. Whereas in the Assertion-Evidence model, they kind of get this big picture idea of what is happening from your claim and evidence, and then you as the presenter get to discuss it a bit more in depth with them having that very simple basic understanding of it from your slide, and then the presenter can elaborate it on it a bit more. And this is where a lot of the studies have shown that they get the best results, is when the slide is very basic information that the audience can look at. Remember, it's in a graphic or something, so it's visually stimulating to them, and then the presenter can expand on that verbally and help the audience. So now we're going to look at our traditional slide, and I'll present it as if it was a normal slide. So the Brahma chickens. These chickens are commonly referred to as the king of poultry. They're 66% larger than your normal chicken and can weigh anywhere from 13 to 18 pounds, with the females being the lighter of the two genders. And on average, they can be about 2.5 feet tall. When we compare this to your average poultry chicken, they are normally less than 6 pounds, and your normal chicken will be less than 2 feet tall. So I said a lot of information there, a lot of numbers that really aren't that important. What we're talking about on the slide is the difference between Brahma chickens and your average poultry chicken. So when we go to this next slide and I say, Brahma chickens are significantly larger than regular chickens, and then I show this picture of a Brahma chicken and your average chicken, this picture tells me all the important information from that last slide. How much taller it is, how much heavier it is, isn't important information really. What is important is that we know that the Brahma chicken is bigger. And my claim at the top of the screen tells me that, and then the picture very well illustrates that. So you get all your information a whole lot easier. And when I'm presenting this slide, I can go on to say Brahma chickens can be over 2.5 feet tall, weigh this much. That information I can still say, I can present it, but on the slide, my audience is getting all the information they need, which is that Brahma chickens are bigger. And that's why the Assertion-Evidence model is better. So now what we're going to do is we're going to look at a slide, and I'm kind of going to work through how I would make it an Assertion-Evidence based slide. So this is an actual slide that is from a project I've worked on. for my senior design project. And looking at this slide, you can see it's the perfect example of what we do not want. We see a lot of information, a lot of numbers, information that's really dense. It doesn't tell the audience a lot, it's just arbitrary numbers. So if we can look through this slide, we see tardigrade environment. So they prefer wet environments, but they can survive in all these crazy environments. These are the things they eat, and then they're very small. We see that from the relevant biology, and they have several forms, all these things. So I need a way to take this information and make it into an assertion evidence model where I kind of get the big picture of the tardigrades very easily to my audience. So we'll go to this slide, and now I need to make an assertion. So I'll make the claim that tardigrades are very small, are a very small and resilient species. That's my claim. Now I want a picture that is going to back that assertion I've made. Now I've already gone through the trouble of finding a picture, so I'll just pull it up here. And here we go. So what we see in this picture is we have a scale here at the bottom. So it's telling us the size. That's 20, I believe, micrometers. So a very small unit of measurement, and we can see the tardigrade in relation to that. So it's telling me that these tardigrades are extremely small. We see tardigrades in an active state, tardigrades in a state where they're exposed to physical extremes. So I'm learning about the two different extremes, and I'm learning that they can survive in these extremes. And then down here we see dry environmental conditions. So I know that they prefer the wet conditions because they aren't in this extreme state during it. Now lastly, something that's important when you're doing these kinds of things is to cite your sources. And to do this, it's really simple. You could just add a text box down at the bottom and just type in image source. I don't remember where I got this. We'll just say www.tardigrades.com. And now I have my source in there. So that's how I would take a slide like this with a lot of information and bring it down into an assertion evidence model. And we'll see just when it's presented. A lot of information on the slide, but it's very easy to comprehend. You see that it's a very small creature. It has these two forms in the two different states, and you have my claim at the top that kind of tells me what this slide is about. Okay, so now I'm going to take us over into PowerPoint and show you how to do the exact same thing in PowerPoint. These slide formats, by the way, where it's just the box of text and your title at the top, are pretty easy to work with. You really only need the title because you're just going to be inserting a picture underneath, but you want this title and then space underneath it. Okay, so we'll have our same claim. I'll just paste this picture in for us to use. Perfect. And then I can insert a text box like we did in Google Slides, or PowerPoint actually has a header or footer. So you can just click footer here and do and then you have it down there. It looks a bit more professional, but either will work as long as you're sorting your picture or whatever source you have. It doesn't really matter where you put it, fine like that, as long as it's cited on the slide. That's everything I have for you guys today. If you have any more questions, there are tons of online resources about assertion evidence, and you could also come up to the Digital Studio. We are located in the 4th floor of the Student Union. Thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you guys in the Digital Studio.